guys nice, comfy in my head, I guess speaking my mind about the trades that went on during the trade deadline. So I'm in my sort of comfy spot right now, sitting on the floor, and the microphone is also right in front of me. So that's why I'm going to be like leaning over a lot in this video. So sorry, that's kind of annoying, but yeah, NBA trade deadline. We're going to be talking about, I'm pretty sure, every single trade that went down on trade deadline day, and even the past trades a couple days before that. So it's going to be very exciting. So make sure you do like the video. If you do like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also make sure to comment down below maybe the biggest trade, which I think we both know what it was, but maybe your favorite low-key trade. Maybe if your team made a trade, how do you think of the trade, or even just any trade, your opinions on the trade deadline. I would love to know your opinion. But yeah, with that being said, I guess we can get right into the video. Okay, so the first handful of trades I'm going to be going over are just some of the, I guess, filler trades. I will go over some of the more big-time NBA trades maybe throughout the video, so make sure you stick around. Not all the big ones are going to be at the end. They're going to be kind of spread out throughout the video, so make sure you watch the entire video for this one. The first one we're actually going to be taking a look at is, I guess, technically one of the bigger ones. Definitely a pretty big splash, and maybe even the first domino to fall of the NBA trade deadline madness. Was Garrus Levert getting traded from the Indiana Pacers to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Now, obviously, with Cleveland, without, I'm pretty sure, Sexton for the entirety of the year, got a nice little guard to be, I guess, the duo alongside Darius Garland for this season. And interesting what they gave up for him. They gave up 2 first-round picks. Cleveland did 2 first-round picks. Wow, that's pretty insanely 2 first-round picks. I mean, Cleveland better be like really on point with this sort of trajectory that they're on right now. We think about the Atlanta Hawks, the New York Knicks, their success that they had last year. Then the year after wasn't really all that, and I guess with Cleveland, you gotta cross your fingers and hope that this isn't just another sort of big booming year. You give up 2 first-round picks, you better be very certain that this is the move you want to make, and it seems to be that move. I'm very happy about it. I think Garrus Levert next to Darius Garland is great. Really interested to see what they do with Colin Sexton now. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to do maybe some sort of sign and trade, or maybe even just let him go as a restricted free agent, let him sign wherever he wants to sign. The Pacers, they just, I don't know, they're starting to rebuild. 2 first-round picks for 1 player. I'll take that any day of the week. Let's see some other sort of random ones. We have KZ Okpala to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a second-round pick, I think. I mean, OKC is always just trying to get good young talent to see what can happen, and KZ is definitely one of those. Definitely just one of the filler trees. Don't really have an opinion on that one. I mean, it's pretty good to get a second-round pick always, and obviously the OKC Thunder have all the picks in the world, so they can start shipping out these picks for, young assets. And I guess if KC is that asset, then I guess OKC is going to try it. Next one was a pretty interesting trade, you could say. 3-team trade. Oh, by the way, these aren't in order of like how they went down in the sort of trade deadline world. These are just randomly throughout the video. I'm going to be throwing out trades, so make sure you keep that in mind. So this is actually a 3-team trade between the Blazers, San Antonio, and Utah. It was the Portland Trail Blazers receiving Elijah Hughes, Joe Ingles, and a second-round pick. San Antonio gets Thomas Satoransky, who was on the Blazers. I guess the newest of trades that went down for Portland this trade deadline. A second-round pick, and then the Utah Jazz got Alexander Walker and Juan Hernan-Gomez. Interesting. Obviously, someone watches a lot of Blazer basketball. This would have been an amazing trade for Portland maybe about 3-4 years ago for Joe Ingles. That would have been a great defensive wing that Portland could have gotten. But obviously now with having I think he tore his ACL or MCL or something like that. Definitely has a bad leg injury for a guy who's already, I think, turning 35 next season, which is crazy. You can definitely see this is just another cap dump for Portland, and who knows what's going to happen to Joe Ingles after the season. Will he retire? He might just sign with the Jazz in the offseason on a super cheap veteran minimum contract because he loves it there in Utah. That's a big possibility, but again, Portland saving money for free agency. The San Antonio Spurs, Thomas Satoransky, I guess some sort of guard. They're obviously someone who's in a lot of trading rumors and always looking towards the future. They ended up getting a second-round pick, also not too crazy. But the Utah Jazz got Alexander Walker on their team, which, man, coming off the bench with Jordan Clarkson, you have Alexander Walker next to him. That's a scary dynamic duo that, man, could really pop off some nights. I mean, obviously, the biggest complaint about Alexander Walker is inconsistency. If he can find that in Utah, that's a very dangerous sort of guy to put on an already great team that needs scoring for sure. And then Juan Gomez, pretty average forward as well. Can, I guess, make the rotation as they go into the playoffs. So, yeah, the Utah Jazz get another young scorer. Even if they somehow lose Jordan Clarkson, he might even take over that role in another year or two if they can't afford or don't want Jordan Clarkson around anymore. That's pretty terrifying. We also have the infamous Blazer trade of Robert Covington and Norman Powell getting traded to the Los Angeles Clippers in exchange for Eric Bledsoe, Kenan Johnson, which is someone, Justice Winslow, and a second-round pick. Yes, that is a second-round pick, not a first-round pick, which I'm sure if you would have asked any general manager in the NBA if Norman Powell, or even both Norman Powell and Robert Covington were at least worth one first-round pick, apparently not. So, big shout-outs to the Portland GM for just whiffing that terribly. I think, at least in my head, what happened was, obviously this being his first time in the trade deadline frenzy, I think he might have gotten taken advantage of. Maybe someone was rushing him, maybe they were rushing him, maybe someone told him, oh, this is going to be the best offer we can get for these guys, let's just jump on the opportunity without actually looking. That's the only opinion I could have, because how could someone who is a legit 20 to 23 point per game scorer who plays great 3-and-D defense, I get his contract is bad, but how is that not worth at least one first-round pick, especially if you're pairing him alongside a defensive wing that every veteran sort of team, championship caliber team, is dying to have on their roster? Yeah, I don't know. The Clippers only get better next season. That's going to be a terrifying team with Powell, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Robert Covington. The defense on the wing on that team is going to be crazy. That's great for them. And Blazers get cap relief. The Kings traded for Domantas Sabonis. They traded away Tyrese Haliburton and Bud Hield, which was definitely very interesting. Obviously, people were talking about, the Kings, they got finessed. The Kings, poverty franchise. I actually see this trade being fairly even as of right now. Obviously, if the Kings can add a third option to the squad, if it is through a trade of maybe Rashard Holmes, maybe if it's through Harrison Barnes, maybe if it's just another draft pick, if they can somehow find another option next to Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, that's not bad, at least in my opinion. Maybe I am just, a casual, or whatever you want to call me. I think it's actually not a bad pairing as of right now, if you can find another option. And then with the Pacers, obviously, Tyrese Haliburton, I think a lot of people are assuming that he is just only going to get better, which I also think he will. But there's also that possibility that maybe he doesn't, and Tyrese Haliburton doesn't really live up to that sort of hype of being, a 6'5" guard who can really do it all, defend and score and facilitate, yada yada yada. That's really good. But what if, he doesn't get any better? He's still a great player right now, but, is he going to be a multiple-time All-Star like Domantas Sabonis already is, or even De'Aaron Fox is already almost at that level? I don't know, but obviously the potential is there, and that's what everyone's sort of looking at. I see this way more as an even trade than maybe a lot of people do, and I love Domantas Sabonis. I am a fan of the Kings, kind of, technically. I've been to some home games, and I do really like De'Aaron Fox, so maybe I am being kind of biased. Some quick ones real quick. Aaron Holiday got traded to the out what to do with that, but Schroeder can definitely help out a good, contending team right now if he does get bought out by the Houston Rockets. But I don't know what the Celtics are going to be doing. I guess they're going to be starting out Marcus Smart at point guard for the rest of the season. They desperately needed to find, or maybe they still can find, a sort of playmaking point guard, because even now they're down another point guard. They really, at least in my opinion, need to find some sort of playmaker on that team, because everyone on the team is just an ISO ball scorer. It seems like it's pretty bad. Let's see, the Magic get Bol. That's pretty sick. Hopefully he can actually get some run time when he's healthy. Jalen Smith goes to the Indiana Pacers. Yeah, Jalen Smith goes to the Indiana Pacers. Phoenix Suns get Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig, a veteran wing player again. Phoenix loves their wings. They have Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges. They just got Torrey Craig now. Their wing perimeter defense is going to be pretty on point, not going to lie. I actually really like that trade. And then again with the rebuilding Pacers getting a sort of prospect in Jalen Smith. Very interesting. You have a 4-team trade now. Let's see if I can do this kind of quickly without being too confusing. We have the Detroit Pistons receiving Marvin Bagley III, which, man, if he can actually finally get, in a groove, a little bit more time to actually develop as a player, him with Cade Cunningham, maybe you somehow find another piece through the draft or whatever. That's not a terrible young core. Probably not the big you want to pair up long term with Cade Cunningham, but definitely a piece, I guess you could say. The Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye, which are definitely two players that could even come back next season, even making the Clippers a deeper team, which, God, I am so scared of the Clippers. Clippers next season, they might be a bandwagon team of mine. I don't know. Then we have the Milwaukee Bucks getting Serge Ibaka, which, obviously with Brook Lopez having so many injury problems this season, getting at least some sort of veteran presence who is championship ready in Serge Ibaka can maybe fill that role. Bobby Portis has been playing that role very well, but I would rather see Bobby Portis at that power forward position. And the Kings, again, people were making fun of the Kings. I actually really like this pickup of Donte DiVincenzo. So now you kind of replace, I'm saying that very lightly, Tyrese Haliburton with Donte DiVincenzo at that 2 spot. That's not that bad. De'Aaron, Donte, yet Sabonis. Again, maybe you find an option somewhere in the draft, trade market next season. It might be, they might be on the up and up. We'll have to wait and see that the end product, but Donte DiVincenzo, that's definitely not a bad pickup. Derek White goes to the Boston Celtics, which again, not really sure if that's what I would want if I was on the Celtics. Again, I'm looking for maybe more of like a playmaker. You get another shot creator, a shot maker for Josh Richardson, and a first round pick. Wow, and they got Romeo Langford. Yo, the Spurs actually did very sneakily well. They got 2 first round picks in this upcoming draft, plus their own. Oh my God, the Spurs, they're rebuilding. They're really getting it done for sure. I don't know, the Celtics, another scorer. That's cool, I guess. I guess they can always use more scoring. Montrezl Harrell goes to the Charlotte Hornets. Not really the big of the future you want to pair up next to LaMelo Ball, I'm assuming. Probably just a short-term answer to a long-term problem, which, hopefully they find at some point in time. And of course, Miles Turner was in that conversation for a while, but it looks like now with Sabonis leaving, Turner now is going to be the big of that team now, which I don't know if I really agree if he should even still stay on that team. But anyways, Harrell with Charlotte, that's good. That's good for their little playoff run that they're going to have this upcoming playoffs, but definitely not the long-term goal, I would assume. Then a trade that I definitely didn't actually really see happening yesterday as I'm recording this video. Kristaps Porzingis being traded. Now that's not too crazy to think about. I mean, of course, Kristaps Porzingis has been on the Mavericks trade market for basically the entirety time that he's been on the Mavericks, and it finally happened. course, having someone like Kristaps Porzingis might entice him to stay, having, you know, a facade of maybe a player to come play with still in Washington. I have no idea, but obviously Spencer Dinwiddie wasn't a good match for this team. It came out in reports that even in the locker room, players were telling basically Spencer Dinwiddie shut up. Like, they did not like Spencer Dinwiddie, which is kind of sad, but hopefully he's better on the Mavericks. And I don't know, now you have sort of like a guard trio in the Mavericks facility with Luka, Jalen Brunson, who's been playing absolutely out of his mind, and now you have Spencer Dinwiddie, who might be coming off the bench. I don't know, you probably maybe start him over Brunson in the starting lineup, having him play next to Luka Doncic. I don't know, man. Maybe not the greatest trade for Kristaps Porzingis, maybe one that they needed to get done. You could say maybe it was for cap space reasons, but even then, they're trading Davis Bertans alongside Spencer Dinwiddie, who still is on like a 3-year, I don't know, $40+ million contract. Like, he is still making big bucks, and so is Spencer Dinwiddie, so it's not really even them saving cap space to sign someone. I don't know, man. And here we go for, I think, the last Portland Trailblazer trade this offseason. It was the biggest one for them, trading CJ McCollum. I think CJ, by himself, as a guard, could have been an amazing player for Portland, but obviously, when you have someone like Damian Lillard, it's just a better version of a CJ McCollum. It never would have worked out, and I don't know how Neil O'Shea, for years and years and years and years and years and years, didn't see that when everyone else could see that. And through all that time, and all those opportunity to really pair up someone with Damian Lillard at, you know, maybe the peak CJ McCollum era, which was probably maybe a couple years ago when he had that great playoff appearance against the Denver Nuggets, basically winning the series for Portland. During that series, you trade him and Larry Nance Jr. and Tony Snell to the New Orleans Pelicans for Alexander Walker, who got traded. So you got that off the list. Josh Hart, who's actually a very, 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 very solid player, but makes $12 million on like a $24 million player option a team option next season. Do you really want a guy coming off the bench making $12 million? Like, I don't know about that. You do get a first-round pick, but you traded CJ McCollum to that team, who might even get Zion back. So that team with CJ, Zion, Brandon Ingram, that pick might be what, 14th, 13th, 10th. I don't know. It's definitely not probably going to be anywhere lower than 10. So you basically traded CJ McCollum for a 10 to 15 pick, which again, I feel like you could have gotten more draft picks are basically what's going to happen with Portland. It's going to either be a really good retooling with good young talent, or maybe trading great young talent for even better players, or turmoil for probably another year. And maybe, who knows, maybe Lillard has to wait another year for this sort of imagination of this retooling to come to its full potential. A whole nother season. And then the last trade of the trade deadline, at least from what I'm seeing, nothing too crazy. Just some guy named James Harden asking to get traded from his team that desperately wanted him to stay to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons. That happened. That actually happened. I said in my live stream yesterday, as the recording of this video, that nothing was going to happen this trade deadline. I thought, a Kristaps Porzingis level of trade would be like the top, the tippy tip. That would be the biggest trade of the trade deadline. And James Harden actually got traded, which I don't really know how I feel. Again, this Nets team played 16 games together fully healthy. They were 13-3. They looked like they had great team chemistry when they did all play together. But man, they were really just playing on basketball talent and not on actual basketball team chemistry, team play. I mean, if you look who plays on that team right now, that doesn't look like a basketball team. If I'm being completely honest, that looks like Kyrie Irving playing with, a bunch of just random guys. And that's not a thing against them. It's just that the plug and play pieces that they have on the Nets just, they don't mesh together. They don't look like a basketball team. But also with James Harden asking out doesn't help with that argument. And how do I feel about it? I don't know. I feel like he probably should have waited out this season. I feel like that's pretty, I don't want to say disrespectful, but you could at least finish the season. Like, let's see what could actually happen with this team when it's fully healthy. It's not Katie's fault that he's always injured, or I guess with Kyrie and his own decisions, or his own decision. James Harden, I guess, I don't know, saw the only way out in having a successful season in a title-chasing sort of era of basketball is to go to Philadelphia with Joel Embiid, who's having an MVP caliber season on also a very well-built team playing great team basketball. But the thing is, you better hope and pray that y'all win a title this season, or maybe even next season. You have 2 years. Because with Ben Simmons, a 24-year-old defensive player of the year candidate, averaging like 15, 10, and 10 on any given season, 2 steals, 2 blocks, if he can actually, and I know this is an if he can log in, accept the role as a third option next to KD and Kyrie Irving, wow. I mean, for years, that could be a pretty bad sort of roadblock in front of the 76ers, including with Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, 2 first-round picks. I mean, if they meet up sometime in the playoffs, which I pray to the basketball gods, if you want to call them that happens, because I don't want to say I'm betting on Ben Simmons to really show out when he does return. I feel like it will take him some time, but I'm really hoping, just for storyline reasons, that Ben Simmons comes out, absolutely balls out of his mind, and I don't know, I guess see what happens with the Nets this year, because even without KD for maybe a couple more handful of weeks, maybe even a month, and Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons as a duo, you have a great playmaker in Ben Simmons, who's maybe not at the same level as James Harden, as you may want to say, but definitely a great playmaker, plays amazing defense, which is got exactly what the Nets needed. You also get a big with Drummond, you get a sniper with Seth Curry. They might have just set up a roadblock over there for Philadelphia, and this is actually a trade that is very even. It could really go either way. Now, of course, James Harden is James Harden. I do feel like obviously Philadelphia's in a title-winning mode, which is great for them, and I think that's a great trade for them as well. But again, it's a roadblock. It's an if. If Ben Simmons can lock in at being that third option, just becoming that playmaker, scores at the basket when he can, doesn't have to sort of feel like he has to carry the team or be that Robin or even that Batman in some scenarios with Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. He doesn't need to be that. He can just be Ben Simmons, a